Hello everyone, welcome to the 2021 edition of the KSU Hackathon. The challenge today is discovery of risks associated with missing children. Example, if a child goes missing, what is some of the critical information that we can provide law enforcement so that they can act quickly to retrieve this child unharmed? So for example, some examples of what I could think about is, let's say if we have information of the age of the child, information about the gender of the child, information about the location where the child went missing, maybe some information about the relatives, would that be helpful? What if we have also information about all the criminal activity in that neighborhood where the child went missing? Would that be helpful? So what we're trying to do is really challenge you, providing some of this information to you, some of the data sets, and challenge you to see if you can solve some of the bigger challenges around retrieving this child, right? If the child goes missing, how does law enforcement act quickly so that they can retrieve enough information, enough background, and then help the child as quickly as possible? So that, in a sense, is what we're trying to do here. Now, just before I get into the details of the challenge, I just want to talk a little bit about why LexisNexis and what we do at LexisNexis that connects us to this particular use case, right? Many of you who's probably been to my previous presentations have seen this slide, but one of the things I'm going to do with this slide today is talk about what is the business cases on the right-hand side, and then talk about how this all becomes real in our environment. Okay, so one of the key vertical markets that we serve is the financial services vertical market. And I'm talking about, if you go and open an account in a bank, how does the bank know that you're a reliable customer? Okay? How does the government know that you're not a fraudster? How does a pharmacy in the healthcare space know that the prescription you're refilling is not for fraudulent use? How does the insurance company know that the premium that they're setting accounts for all the risks associated with a person or a business? So these are some of the questions, business questions, that are answered with regards to the business that we do. And to accomplish this business, obviously, it's not a trivial exercise. We go out and collect data on the left-hand side from multiple sources across the industry. Public records is a great example where you're talking about examples of court records or criminal registries. We're talking about state agencies for hosting driver's records or police records. We're talking about also contributors like insurance companies that provide policy and claims and telematics information. Bring it all together, link all this information, clean it to a certain extent that we can use it in our system, and then produce the analytics, which can finally be provided as products on the right-hand side, and with some of the examples I covered in the discussion just before this. Now, why KSU? Well, they're fantastic partners. Professor Don Tatum, Dr. John Preston, when they started this program 4 years back, they were well ahead of the industry. Now, we also work with many other partners in the university space across the board, but what we did see is that their thinking of how the industry should be involved laid a foundation for the students that was well ahead of what the other players in the industry or university industry were thinking, and that helped a great deal. And obviously, Dr. Jeff Chastain is new to this program, but he's been extremely helpful for understanding what we do at LexisNexis and how we are part of the program and accommodating us. And last but not least, Adriana is doing a phenomenal job in coordinating all these activities, bringing all the information together, helping Don organize this from year to year basis. It's a difficult job, and I think Don and Adriana do a fabulous job. Now, just having fantastic partners is obviously not enough for us, right? We need fantastic students. I want to bring up Venel Zufiak's example because he just was placed in one of our partner companies called Data Steers as recently as this week. Venel is a 3.8 GPA student in his bachelor's and a 4.0 GPA student in his master's. He is really worked out every time. I spoke to him previously. He used to be in the lab looking at solutions or doing his assignments and working hard. And he also worked on 2 internships, back-to-back internships with LexisNexis on big data analytics, and he did a phenomenal job. And I couldn't be happier for Venel because he finally found what he wanted to with regards to the data analytics space, and I hope all the best for him. Right? And last but not least, we have fantastic alumni from KSU, Trish McCall. She's the HPCC Systems Director of Program, and then Adam Program Leader. I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Adam Program is in a few minutes, but she's been around LexisNexis for 30 years now, and she's formerly from KSU. And then Professor Bahar Fardanian, whom you probably already know. She's teaching a HPCC Systems course here in KSU currently. I would encourage you to enroll in the next semester if you have interest in HPC system and big data in general. I think the way Professor Bahar talks about the concepts are more generic than specific to HPCC, and I think you'll really enjoy the course if you are interested in the data science area. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the ADAM program and what are the details of how LexisNexis runs the ADAM program. ADAM program, again, I don't want to talk too much details about what the ADAM program is because there's a presentation next Tuesday, 23rd, where Trish McCall is actually going to give an in-depth presentation of the program itself. And I want you to tune in on that day, and hopefully you're able to register and get all the information that you need about the ADAM program. But at this point, I want to lay the foundation of how the ADAM program works so that you have the context of solving the problem or the challenge that we have, if that makes sense. Now, the ADAM program that is run by LexisNexis dates back to I think close to 2005 timeframe. So it's been around for a long time. We have been helping NECMEC, which is the organization that tracks missing children and helps their recovery for that duration. Now, what I'm going to talk about in this particular slide is really around some stats that are fairly important for you to understand so that you can solve the problem effectively. So as of 2020, in 2020, NECMEC assisted law enforcement and families with more than 29,000 cases of missing children. What does that really mean? What they found out from the stats, out of these 29,000 cases of missing children, 91% of them were just endangered runaways. They just ran away from the current family situation. So that is a problem. That's a big problem. Now, 5% of the family, 5% of the missing children were actually abducted by their own family members, whether it's parents or relatives or siblings. So really, that amounted to 5%. Right? And 3% critically missing young adults were between the ages of 18 to 20 years old. Okay. And less than 1% were non-family abductions. An example of that would be what happened just last night in DeKalb County, where robbers abducted a young girl from her family, right? So This was not a relative who's performing the abduction. These were more criminals who were robbing the family, and they abducted the small girl from her family. So this is less than 1%, but it's still extremely significant. Then 1% are lost or injured, in the sense that they were probably playing and got lost, and then next thing you know, they are missing. So that is how the statistics work. Now, more importantly, this is what we are concerned as far as the challenge is concerned. Out of the 26,000 runaways reported in NCMEC in 2020, 1 in 6 were likely to be victims of child sex trafficking, and that is a mind-blowing statistic, right? And that, in effect, is what we want you to start contributing towards. I'm not saying you're going to solve this problem today, but I think we have to make a start. We have to make a start. We have to explore all the possibilities, and we have to see how we can help law enforcement in actually solving this problem. So that is what we are going to be focused on during the challenge. Now, as of today, you can see the number of people actively missing in our ADAM program database. We have about 1,600 active missing child cases that we are monitoring throughout the United States, and this is a map showing all the missing children. By the way, again, I don't want to go into too much details on how the system behind the scenes actually works. That's what Trish is going to be covering on Tuesday, so please tune into that presentation for all the details. It's going to be a fantastic presentation. Now, I'm going to give you a brief overview of how the actual program works here. Anyways, just because you need some context on why we are trying to solve this case, because it's not something that we are trying to do without a connection to what we're already doing, right? So the way the ADAM program works is when a child goes missing, obviously law enforcement is informed about the case, and once law enforcement is informed, they enter the details into the NCMEC database. And the NCMEC database then accepts all the information, make sure all the information that they have is correct, and then updates us, which is the ADAM program, which is a database of all the active missing children. And once we get that information, we do some data cleansing and cleaning. And once we do that, we also have a network of people we think can immediately be able to at least help in solving the case. In the sense, they are probably the nearest law enforcement, nearest post offices, nearest restaurants to where the child went missing. So we alert them immediately to the concept that this child has gone missing, and they can take action. If a child turns up at a restaurant, for example, and they've seen a poster of the missing child, then they can inform law enforcement, and then we can retrieve the child. So that is a very high-level concept of how the missing child information is then projected out to the people who are actively performing some sort of a business, but they can act on it as quickly as possible once they get this information. So what does the information that we send currently look like? So most of the information that we send is based on what NCMEC provides us. It's really around what the person is, the picture of the person, what were the clothes that they're wearing, were they accompanied by a potential relative, what car were they traveling in. So information that they potentially know about the person. So that is what is posted into this poster, and when we get this email from NCMEC, we then create a poster of this child, as you can see on the left-hand side here, and then we deploy this poster or project these posters out to all the interested parties in that area where we think it will be most effective. Yeah. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this poster is, as you can see, the information that is there really is the information that relates to the personal information of the person. There's no information about potentially what could be the risk that this child is in. And that is what we want you to start thinking of, seeing, adding that information. Let us say you add an information saying, this child is at a risk of being abducted by a sex offender, and this risk is 10 out of 90 or 10 out of 100, or some scale like that you can come up with. That is going to be extremely effective to law enforcement, right? Because now based on that risk scale, they can act on it very quickly. Bring their forces together and deploy the forces to go and retrieve this child. So that's what we are, in essence, trying to do here. So we need your help, right? So again, to summarize what we're trying to do, we're trying to see specifically how, when a child goes missing, what is the influence of sex offenders in that area on potentially this child, right? So what is the risk of these type of predatory criminals being around that area, and how does this affect this child? And what action should the law enforcement do? For example, should they go knocking on certain doors in that area based on the child goes missing, right? Or they should monitor who this person is and see what is happening in his vicinity. So those are the things that we want law enforcement to be equipped with when they actually deploy their forces, so that they have the full 360-degree view of how to capture or how to retrieve this child, right? That's in essence, and they have to do it rather quickly. So that's in essence what we're trying to do. So what we'll provide you is data assets. Obviously, we provide you the Georgia sex offender database, which contains the list and location of every sex offender that is in the Georgia area. This is again public records. If you Google this information, you should be able to retrieve that information from the Georgia Bureau of Offenses. So in addition to that, we will provide you the current missing children's database as of 2021. So you can start correlating, when a child goes missing in this area, which are the areas of concern, who are the people of concern in that area, who are the criminals in that area that potentially are risky for this child, and how do you come up with concepts that will help law enforcement to tell them that these are the people that they have to be aware of. We also will provide you a list of lat and longitude for every city and county in the United States. So this is going to be very good information if you want to project out, geographically how a child who goes missing in a certain area is influenced by other people in that area, other criminals who live around that area. So if you have a 10-mile radius, or 20-mile radius, or 50-mile radius, or 100-mile radius, what is the outlook for law enforcement to be interested in, to make sure that they look at everybody who's interested in that area, so that they can retrieve the child very quickly. So that is the critical nature of this solution. And again, we'll provide you the tools that you need to be able to bring all this data together, transform it, clean it, make sure it is standardized, and then bring it together so that finally you can analyze and come up with concepts on what the outcomes for making this happen, right? Last but not least, you have an extremely talented set of mentors who are going to be there for you throughout the process. So if you have any questions, any ideas on what you want to do and how you want to solve this problem, to solve this challenge, obviously you can reach out to them at any point in time, and we will definitely be glad to collaborate with you, help you on the way, and then see how we can come up with some really good outcomes. And then we have everything I just spoke about and much more details in our GitHub repository. So this is the URL that you have to be aware of. So this will be made public so that you can access it as of tomorrow. And then you should be able to look at all the details, including the data sets, including potentially some sample code snippets and how to go about solving some of the things, and links to HPCC systems, ECL, how to get going, all that. So as soon as you get in there, you should be able to reach out to any of the mentors that are listed there, and then ask questions. Talk about potentially potential solutions that you have, and then collaborate with us. I think this experience is going to be extremely critical, and I think it's going to be fantastic too. Okay. Finally, as I said earlier, Trish McCall, she's the leader of the Adam program, and she will be talking about the program in detail on Tuesday the 23rd at 4 p.m. So tune in on that day, and hopefully you'll find that extremely enlightening. And I think whatever you contribute through this challenge, that's potentially going to be added to the Adam program in the longer term. And imagine how impactful the program will be after that. So it's going to be fantastic. We'll be hosting a live Q&A again tomorrow. I'll probably repeat some of the topics that we discussed today in tomorrow's session as well, but we'll be there to answer questions at 1 p.m. So please make a note of that as well. And again, if you need anything, the contact information is out there on the link that I just posted. So make sure you're able to reach us and let us know if you have any questions whatsoever. Finally, good luck and happy hacking. I think this is going to be a phenomenal exercise, great experience. I think whatever contributions that you can come up, small or great, everything will help. Everything will help. So look at it as a team exercise, and share it with your peers, and see how you can start contributing to the effort. Okay. Good luck again. Happy hacking. Thank you.